Diamond White Escalade. This can only mean one thing. Greedy real estate developer looking for cheap farmland. Let's build something. Welcome to the Stover Farm Channel. I'm so glad to have you here with us, and guess what? We haven't built anything together for weeks. We gotta fix that. We gotta build something right now. Welcome to Iowa, an Iowa Plains view, recently updated by Celobuki. You'll recognize that name because he also made the amazing Alma, Missouri map, and some of the details on the new Iowa Plains view are really, really good. Check it out. We're not going to go into those details right now because we've got things to build and very little time. If you remember how I do these, I give myself 60 minutes to build something. I do not pre-build it, and I do it all with you live, so I could absolutely mess up and you would see it. It could also just turn out terrible. Fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't had that happen yet, and I'm hoping that tonight, it doesn't start. So what are we going to build? Well, not a farm, not a farmhouse, but a housing addition, a neighborhood. And not what you think. We're not just going to line houses up in rows at a street, put some trees in, maybe throw a couple of fences around the house. We're actually going to have homes that are on hills. They're driveways. They have changes in elevation. Think of it more as a high-end subdivision, and we're going to use this area right here. But first, we need to make sure we own it. I don't actually remember if I bought this or not, so let's come in here. I did not, so we need to buy fields 30. Yes. 31. Yes. 32, which is the little 1 acre farmhouse, but you have to buy this land if you want to get rid of that house. Yes. And then I'll probably just buy the road. I think it's $0, but you get all of the easements and things around the roads. So we're definitely going to do that. And we've got plenty of money because I am on a Mac, so I'm using easy development controls. But if you were on a console, you could get a ton of money by using the government subsidy mods. There's a million ways you can do it. Don't worry, you can get money if you don't have money. What do we do first? Well, I need to start the clock. So I don't put any type of timer up. I just do it for myself, mainly so, I keep myself in check. So we're going to say start in 60 minutes now. Let's delete this house. And this saddens me because I feel like throughout the entire country, our farmland is being bought and developed. And I don't know what farmers are getting for their land per acre. I hope it's enough. I hope it's more than enough, but something deep down tells me they're probably not, and that's sickening. I hate it. Where I live in Indianapolis, there's farmland as you go out of the city that I remember being thick with crops and trees and fields, and they're now, developments. They're shopping centers. They're housing divisions. I guess it's just how things change. I don't have to love it, though. And I'm glorifying it here in the game, but again, I think it's fun because you could role play this if you were, using rental properties or wanted to do a role play series with maybe a homeowner or be the landlord of homes. Tons of stuff you could do, and we're just going to try it. So I need to stop blabbering. We're going to turn this field into this. And I've already wasted enough time, so let's get at it. First thing I always like to do is come into my paintbrush, and I like to just paint one nice flat layer of whatever. You can paint manure if you wanted to. Although I don't think manure is an option. I'm going to use grass because that just works best for me. And the reason why I do this is because it allows me to see the land a little better. As you get into it, you can see where you've got hills. You can see where you might need to raise or lower the terrain, just depending upon what you're trying to do. In this particular subdivision, it's not going to be a ton of homes. I would think of this more as like a luxury subdivision, maybe. So the homes are going to have slightly larger property to them, and they're going to have features that maybe you wouldn't find in some more economically based subdivisions. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to describe it. The yards are going to be bigger. The driveways are going to be longer. And they're probably going to have some mature trees, which I don't know how I'd fake that, but we'll just pretend that maybe these were here for a really long time. And I think we're going to have two ways in and out of this particular subdivision, and that's going to be just one road here coming down and then exiting over here on this other road. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get some of my leveling in place, because I don't just want to paint a road and say that's it. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I think the road is probably going to come like this. So, you know, maybe like this, and then it'll turn here, and it might run up this way, and then maybe turn again and exit right here. Okay. At face value, that looks like that's a fine road, right? That would work for most people. I don't want that. I want this to have changes in that elevation. So I'm going to actually lower some areas. I'm going to raise some areas. Like right over here. I'm going to come into my sculpting tool, and I'm going to begin raising areas over here. And then I'm going to come into my flattening tool, and I want to flatten this out. I'd like to leave kind of the ditch right there. I don't think that's one that Celobuki has set up that actually does fill up with rainwater, but I want to kind of leave that back there because it would match the terrain fairly well. And I'm just letting my computer do the spinning beach ball of death, but I'm just coming around and I'm making this higher. I'm actually increasing the height of the terrain here, getting it up to and even maybe just a little bit higher than the main road. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to flatten this area. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating plots of land. And if you think about it, plots of land, they have to have areas for irrigation to move. So you would have these dips and valleys, because you want water. If it's going to rain, it's going to accumulate. You don't want it going down into the foundation around the house. You would want it to flow out to a ditch or a gully or a storm sewer system. So you would have kind of, property that's potentially tiered like this. So I feel like in this particular area, we would probably get like 3 homes on this side. And then we might get 2 over here, maybe? So I'm going to flatten this out. And using the flattening tool, you can see how I started off in a particular area that it didn't need a lot of elevation change. But as I got down here, this really started to change. The cost of it went way up. I mean, you could spend millions of dollars just using this elevation tool. In fact, that's one really good way if you have too much money. I've seen people ask this on forums. They're on console, so they don't have easy dev. they've got like $999,999,999, and they want to get rid of some money, just go into the terrain tool and start raising and lowering terrain. It costs a lot of money. You can go through millions of dollars very, very quickly. Okay, and everywhere the center of my cursor goes, that is, on this particular tool, the height at which the elevation is going to raise to, and it's going to stop. It's going to flatten at that elevation. And I don't care that I'm kind of making a mess right now. We're going to go in with the softening tool and clean all this up. Okay? I like that. That's a good start. It looks like a mess, but trust me, it will get there. Now what I want to do is I want my road to actually, again, kind of cut through this land. So I don't want, like, see how there's that sloped? I don't want that. I want it to be a proper road. So I'm going to come in here and I'm actually going to flatten this. So this is going to flatten, and I'm going to step it down as I go. So I'm just going to slowly start moving down. And I'm going to try to flatten it out as much as possible. And yes, you're asking like, oh my gosh, you're doing stair steps. Why are you doing that? Well, I'm going to come back in with the softening tool and hopefully get rid of those stair steps. And that will make this so that I have a nice, flat, level road that cuts through the land versus just being painted on the land. And this is exactly how you can make like switchbacks in mountains. You can use this flattening tool and you hit it, you flatten, and then you move along a little bit. You don't flatten the whole thing out at the same height. You just slowly work your way to where you want to be. And I think I might do that, and that's okay, we'll fix that. So I'm going to come across here like this. I want this entryway to be fairly level with the road. The way we'll fix this is I'll come to my elevation tool again. I'll probably turn the strength way, way down, and I'm just going to slowly tap it down. And that is fine. Now, okay, here's how we can fix this. Come into your softening tool. And now you're going to run maybe with a higher strength. And you can get in here sideways like this and look. And you can see what we're going to do here. So we're now going to come and try and flatten or soften this road. So you can see those stair steps. They're stair steps, but at least they're flat stair steps. That's very important. And as we come up to them with the softening tool, we're now going to soften them out so that they kind of create a nice plane going up to them. At least that's what we hope. Might not be perfect, and if we have to, we can go back in and redo it. But we're going to hope we get this nice and flat, so that our road is cutting through the land. And I'm going to run this all the way to the main entrance. Okay. Now, I'm going to try very hard to put in some, we're not going to have like a sewer system. So I'm going to try now and do something very similar, but I'm going to come down and I'm going to put in some ditches in front of the house. So I'm going to come to my raise and lower tool. I'm then going to very cautiously do this. I'm going to drag this towards me. And we'll have that kind of, I can lower my strength a little bit on that. And have that come out to here. And a lot of it's just trial and error. It's just making these subtle little changes. You can see where I was, like, jumping there a little bit. It wasn't... Let's do the same thing right up here. Nice and soft. Okay. Now I'm going to jump over to my softening tool. We're going to really work on this area up here because I need to soften this out. It's way too harsh. I'm probably going to turn my strength up. And I'm just going to get this so that it is a nice, soft, rolling type of hill. And it might cut into these gullies in the front of the house a little bit, and that is okay. Right here, if I had to ask for anything, I would come to my raise and lowering tool. I would probably really lower the strength, and I would make it slant down here. So there'd be that nice, you know, we've got multiple ways for water to go when it rains. It can come down here to the front, or it can roll to the back. And I would likely do the same thing over here as well, but I'm first going to soften. And you can see my money going away very, very, very quickly. But the softening tool is what really gets rid of those imperfections from the raising and lowering tool, while still keeping, you know, the elevation there. And when you're building a map like this, you're probably spending hours on a particular area like this. We don't have a ton of time together, again, only 60 minutes, but I'm hoping you get the idea of what you can do here. And we're just going to continue down to this third plot. Changing the size of my tool, if necessary, or the brush head. I can only really describe this almost as like preparation for painting. You know, when you paint a room and you've got to do all the work of putting down the drop cloths and taping things and sanding and using the tack rag. I don't know about you, but I hate all of that. Like, I just want to jump in and start building things. That's kind of how this is right now. We're doing the kind of the not so fun work up front so that we can build the houses, and they'll be on a lot that's actually really cool. But you do have to endure some of the boring work. Okay, how are we looking here? Not terrible there. I don't love my road, I'll be honest with you. I thought I was going to do a little better than that, but I think we'll be able to fix it. Now, we need to do something similar here. This is just a jumbled mess of, like, I don't even know what I was thinking here. I don't think in this particular time frame that we have we'll be able to build all the homes in this property. We'll likely maybe, like, do the plots. We could maybe even use some construction fence to stake them out. If we had more time, I think we could probably get 5 to 6 houses in this particular subdivision. And all I'm doing here is I'm just softening this up in the back to make it a little more realistic. And our next step is going to be to go in and actually add the houses. But I still want to make sure we're happy with the plots first. Again, I'm not extremely happy with my road. There's another way we could have done it, and I'll show you. And that would be using the slope tool. And the slope tool may have actually been better to use here. Let's give it a try. Let's see if we can actually flatten out some of this road with the slope tool. So the slope tool allows me to come to a point, right-click, and then come to a secondary point where I want to start my slope. And I have to hold down my cursor up to the point where my slope, where I wanted to take the slope. And everything down to the point where I started is going to have nice, perfect level. That actually worked pretty well. It actually increased my ditches a little bit. And see how nice that is now? Yeah, I think that'll work. That'll be fine. We'll kind of take a look here. Do I need to do anything here? Looks okay. I might come in. I might do a... So again, I'm right-clicking, and then I'm coming to where I want to start. It's about right here, and I'm taking that up to where I hit the right-click button. And then I can come into my softening tool and soften that transition right there, where those two parts went. And I think we're seeing that that actually was a far better solution than what I did ahead of time. I would say experiment. Go both ways with it. See what you can do. I do need to raise this up a little bit. So we need to flatten this out. And that didn't work very well. You can see how that, like, it's under the road. So I'm going to bring that up. Come into my flattening tool. I'm going to flatten this out. This is exactly what happened over on the other side of the road. Now we're going to soften. And we're going to soften this back down so that it's off the roadway. And if I have to, we'll come to the lowering tool and we'll just click that a few times. And we'll be in good shape. Now here we can use the sloping tool once again. So right-clicking, coming to where I want it to, I guess, begin the slope. Left-clicking and taking it up to that area. And then when we get to the transition point, again, that was where the two, I basically did this in 3 sections. Where it transitions, I use the softening tool and just soften this right up right here. And you can see we've kept my roadway, my ditch, and then the hill up to where the house is going to be. They're all still intact. They're all still there. And I think we're probably now ready to put some houses in. But wait, I would recommend we come in first and we make sure we're happy with our road. The road right now is a little wide, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to get in my realtor Escalade. We'll back up. Pretty wide road, so I'm going to park the Escalade right there, and I'm going to use that as kind of a just a reference point. And I'm likely going to come back in here to my paintbrush, grab some grass, come into my circular paint tool, and I'm going to make this less wide, because again, this is a neighborhood. And if you need to, come up here to your high view, and you can paint in some of these curves a little better. I kind of messed up a little right there, but that's okay. Again, this isn't going to be perfect. We're not building this in Giants Editor. We're building this in the map editor. So, you know, there's going to be imperfections. There are certain things we cannot do in this map editor that you could do in Giants Editor if you were actually building a map. And that's okay. That's okay. We know we're limited, but we're just trying to do the best we can, and I want you to try this as well, even if you're on console and you don't think you can, because it just takes some practice. Alright, I'm going to make this skinnier. It does not need to be that wide. It's way too wide. Probably bring this in a little bit here. And if you mess up and you make it too skinny, just grab some concrete and make it wider. It's no problem. Really no problem. We didn't make that straight right there. You can see how it kind of cuts. That's because the terrain angle of the map. If I had to do this over again, I would try very hard to get it on an actual straight angle. I didn't, and, well, the clock is ticking, so we can't go back and fix it, which is okay. Okay, so we're going to round this corner right here. We're going to fix this. And we might have made that just a little too tight right here. Just a little bit, so we'll come back, we'll grab our concrete, and we'll just kind of make it a little wider. There we go. I don't know about you, but I have more fun sometimes with this game building stuff than I do sometimes in a farm situation. I think that's really one of the cool things about the game. It's 2 games in 1. So there we go. Now I'm going to add a little something to my road. I'm going to... How am I going to do this? Well, first we're going to paint some grass. Now I'm going to use a grass that you all might not have access to. If you're on Mac or PC, you can get it. It's part of the Maze Plus Discord server, and it's in plants. If you go over their Discord server, they've got a bunch of other plant options. One of them being this nice, like, cut grass that does not grow. And I'm going to use this as my grass that's on the properties. I'm now going to come in, I'm going to paint all this, and I'm not going to use this grass exclusively, because there's probably some areas that would have meadow grass on it, like over in these ditches. So I'm just going to come in paint what I can. And I'm doing this now before I put any homes down because this makes it easier. Far easier, actually. And I'm also not going all the way up to the road. I kind of did right there for a reason, and I'll show you in just a moment. It's interesting to see the different color there, the shade of grass between what's here and what I'm putting down. It's almost like a little more yellow hue to it. I have no clue what the time is, folks. I'm gonna check it just so... Okay, we're only 27 minutes in. I thought I was doing a lot worse on this than I am. It just... sometimes you get started on these, again, because I haven't ever built this before, and, like, you're going down the road and you're like, this is awful. This is really, really bad. But you just kind of stick with it, and you hope you get something that's usable in the end. If not, you know, I'll say peace out, and we'll try it again sometime. But I'm going to stick with this, because I think it's going to look pretty good. Okay, so we've got that. Now, what was I saying about the roads? I'm going to come in, and I'm going to paint some, just a little bit of gravel. Just a little bit of gravel. I like my roads to have some separation between... kind of, especially in the entry points, a little gravel right there, but then right where they butt up to the grass. So I like to come in, and this will help me to with some of those width issues. But just a nice little, it's like a bead of caulk that I'm running along the side of the road, right here. It's also going to help when I put down the curb, because yes, we are going to have curb on this. And again, I really, really, really wish that I would have gotten the angle of this proper. I didn't do that right. If I'd have gotten that to be perfectly straight, we wouldn't have all these little juts. Okay, there we go. So now we're starting on this other side. There we go. So we've got our road. We now have some separation on the road. Now I'm going to come back to my plants. I'm going to find that same plant that I was using, which I believe was here. Is that it? Yep. use my circular paintbrush, and I'm going to get this now up a little closer to all the road. So I'm using a smaller brush, and I'm letting some of it overlap into that gravel, because that would happen. There we go. We'll just bring this down. Bob Ross some grass in there. There we go. I like that. Now let's just check the other side. Let's see if there's anything we need to do on this side. We could probably tighten this up just a little bit here. Again, letting some of that grass flow over into the gravel. And you can see that actually helps with some of those inaccuracies in the field terrain, the terrain angle. Helps just a little bit because these grass particles aren't having to follow the same... doesn't have the same rules, that's probably right, as the painted textures. So you get a little bit more forgiving on that. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our road coming in. We've got our hills. Again, it's not perfectly flat like some other subdivisions are. We've got our grass laid down. I think we can put our house in. I do want to check one thing. I'm going to look at my decorations and in my landscaping painting. Do I have any? I don't. So some mod makers, you get more painting items in your palette. And in No Man's Land, there is a paintable, basically water or wet mud, puddle-like texture, and you can actually make it look so that there will be water flowing through your ditches out here. Okay, let's put a house in. So let's take a house. We're going to come into, in this particular instance, productions, because that's where these are going to be. And they're going to be under generators. And we should have all these wonderful homes that we can put down. We can do that. We can also go into buildings, or decorations, excuse me, and we've got homes in here as well. Now, these aren't going to generate you any money, but they are some actually really nice placeable items. And I think I might use this one to start. We're going to put this like up here. So let's rotate. So again, if we look at this, there's lot 1, lot 2, lot 3. So I'm going to put this right here. And now I'm going to find a garage for it. So I'm going to come into my buildings. And let me see if I can find a garage that I like. That would be a nice garage. Let me see if I can match the color. Yep, right there. So, nice 3-car garage. Maybe put it back just a little bit. Right there. And there's our garage. Now, we're going to have our driveway. I don't want it to just come straight out. I want to give it a little bit of a, I don't know, just a little pizzazz. So let's come in, let's see what options we have for painting. We have asphalt. So I think I'm going to use an asphalt driveway. Since we've got concrete out here for the road. You could switch that. You could go, you know, asphalt for the road, concrete for the driveway. Candidly, probably concrete for the driveway would have been the higher cost option for a higher end housing division, but that's okay. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bring this and turn it right there. And I'm going to bring it right to there. Now you're thinking, oh my gosh, what in the heck are you doing? You've got all these elevation changes. That's not the way driveways work. I know. So we're now going to come in here, and we're going to look at this from this angle. We're going to say, how can we fix this? We're going to go back into our sculpting tool. We're going to use this sloping tool. And we're going to say we basically want the slope of this to end right there, and we want it to start out here at the level of the road. So we're going to start this, and we're going to begin moving this up this way. And this is going to do a couple of things. It's going to lower it in some areas, and it's going to raise it in other areas. And you can start to see what happens. Again, you get more changes in elevation in your house. These are not just flat yards. As I come out here, this is going to start to raise just a little bit. Okay, now we can come into our softening tool. We can now soften this up. Soften this up a little bit out front here. And again, we're going to look at the ditch. We're probably now going to come into our raising and lowering tool. This is what I was talking about, where we might have to go back in and make some adjustments. Very, very low level of strength. But I'm going to start lowering this just ever so slightly right here. Okay, and if we get off just a little bit, that is okay. Come into your softening tool. Soften it out. We're now going to come into decorations. There's a built-in decoration in the base game maps that is a culvert pipe. We're going to put a culvert pipe right in there. We're going to come around to the other side. And we might have to come and do the same thing. If we turn this around, that would kind of work, but I don't like it. Let's come into our landscaping tool. We're going to drop this down just a little bit. Decorations, other. Again, it's a culvert pipe right there. We're going to put that in. Okay. You could then come into your landscaping painting, and you could choose just some gravel, and you could put some little bit of gravel around it. That would work right there. And over here, a little gravel around the top, just like that. A little gravel there. If you really wanted to, you could see if you've got animal mud. Animal mud might work in here. Yeah, it kind of works. Kind of gives you a sense of... So this would be your drainage culvert coming right down here. And we definitely need to fix this, so we need to come back into our sculpting tool. We've got to lower this a little bit. I might have made the... I might have made it a little deep. It's okay. We want natural gravity to pull all this down. Alright, and then back into our softening tool. And it's just a lot of back and forth and getting it to where you're happy. And that's the beauty of this. This is your map. We're doing this together, but I hope I'm just showing you tools that you can use to make this. You don't have to do it this way. If you want to do it a different way, you can. But it is a lot of back and forth. Alright, let's come back into decorations, into our landscaping, into our painting tool. I'm going to get that animal mud again. Again, that's about the only thing I've got in this this pack of paints that will work for this, that'll kind of make it look like water. Run that down and around. That's going to come down there. And then I'm going to come back into my plants, and I want to get my the actual grass that I was using. Put a little of that back there. Very nice. We need to come and grab some paint for out here in front of the driveway. So maybe like a concrete connection here. We don't want grass at the curb line, so we'll do that. Okay. Now we want to put some curbs in. So there's a wonderful mod that I found. I believe it's available for all platforms, and it basically acts like a fence, and it's a curb. So you can come in here, you can get this concrete curb, and you can just literally, like, just put curbing in. But you need to be careful which way you put it down and which way you go. So in this particular instance, we need to go from the right to the left. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to move this way. And you can see we don't have, you know, it follows the terrain. It follows the terrain angle. We're just going to start laying this down just like a fence. We're going to make very soft turns here. You can see it's having a little bit of trouble with the elevation, but that's okay. And I'm basically just putting that right there at the edge of where the grass meets the gravel. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. And like any construction zone, you know, again, we're not building all these houses tonight. We've just kind of got the one that's built in here. We're going to put in some lots. So this, you know, this curb might only, in the particular, you know, this particular construction zone might only go down to like here. Boom, we're done. Like, we wouldn't go any further because they're still doing construction. I think I would like to come into my landscaping, and I'd like to make this a little lower. I'd like to make a little bit of a... Just drop this a little bit, so that would come down. Again, this is right... This is the property line, basically. And that would come down into this... into that ditch. And again, if we don't like how we've got it, we come into our softening tool, we soften that up. let's go ahead and let's put some fencing in here. So I think a home of this nature would have potentially a white picket fence around it, or a white horse fence. Let's do that. So let's come in here and let's do like this. So let's run this like so. I feel like we could do a nice turn like that. Very nice. And this would be right on the front of the house. Potentially, like, come up here. And if you want your fencing to match really well, you can just go ahead and run it across your roads. That's totally fine. Maybe come down this way. We'll delete that in just a moment. And then maybe rotate around like this, finding the property line, which is right here in the center, coming up that property line to there. And again, I told you these were going to be some fairly large properties. We'll now come in, we'll delete this. So you now got that. Come into our plants, find the grass that I was using. Make sure we're happy with the grass. We now need to add trees. I would want, you know, mature trees in here. So let's go ahead and put some trees down. We probably need to work on some grass back here a little bit. And maybe even some, like, you know, meadow grass. And it would be absolutely okay, too, to come in here and if you... Because, again, these are going to be construction areas where we could kind of mix some of this meadow grass in just to give it some inconsistencies. Because we've still got a little bit of work to do right here. Because we're going to plot out these houses. And this would be, like, dirt. So... you know, let's find a house. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come into buildings. We're going to come into, actually, excuse me, decorations, other. We're going to find the houses that we want to use. So let's find those first. Let's put that house. So that house would go here, and then this would have down here another house. Do we have any? Let's look at our generative houses. So into buildings, excuse me, productions, generators. Do we have any houses? What does that look like? It's not terrible. I don't love that. I don't love that. I don't love these houses. Oh, that'll work. Again, we're not going to use them. I want the footprint to be here. So, like, that would go here. Now I'm going to come into my landscaping, excuse me, in decoration fences. I'm now going to put, so we're going to do this. So we're going to outline the house and what would probably be the garage in green. Like that. So this would be the outline of where the house and the garage is going to be. And you're probably looking, like, at the screen like, what in the heck are you doing, Stover? This is stupid. I have a plan, I promise. Okay, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to delete that. Yes. Alright, now that's, again, that's where the house is going to be. Landscaping, painting, I want dirt. Now we're gonna put dirt down because that's where the house is gonna be. Construction crews are gonna be out here working on it. Same way over here. We'll have to bring sod in, or plant. Okay, there's that. And then for the actual property line, I'm going to put orange down. So this would be like the property line, an orange fence. Run it to like there. 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 And again, this is where you can have your role play. Here. And then we'll probably put some mud in there. We need to then probably come in here. Let me demo a little bit right there. Maybe a little bit right there, because we need to put, I want to assume that we're going to put the, let's come into landscaping. We're going to go ahead and put the driveway slope in, just so you can see it, but we'll make it mud. So again, I want it to end there, and I'm having it start down here. So it's going to start on the road, and it's going to work its way up to there. And that is going to be now painted as dirt. Actually, you know what? Let's paint that as gravel. And we'll do the same over here, and I think we'll put the driveway... yeah, we'll do the same thing, kind of the same thing. We'll do it right here. So into our landscaping, into the sloping tool. Again, right-clicking where we want it to go, coming down to where we want to start, left-clicking, and bringing that up to where it ends. And then choosing whatever type of paint you want to put down on the ground. In this case, we're using gravel because it's a construction zone. Alrighty. I like that. Now let's come in, let's take our landscaping, sculpting, softening tool a little bit and soften that just a touch. But you can see how the elevation will be on the front yard. Okay? And we would still need to come into decorations, we would need to find that culvert. Put a culvert in right there. One there. Turn it around. One there. Same thing down here. Oh, one right there. And a one right here. You know, some mature American elms in the entryway to this, which, again, I don't know if that would be realistic or not. Probably not. Because, again, we stole the farmland, so it's not like you'd have these trees here, but that's okay. We're pretending. And back here, you know, this is almost like backfill, so we could probably come in with decorations, come with some painting, you know, dirt. Put some dirt in here, because I have a feeling, you know, crews would still be planning, maybe surveyors, on where they're going to put homes over here. Engineers looking at that. And potentially down to here. And just, you know, come into kind of the sculpting tool with the softening tool, and soften a little bit. Maybe increase the amount of strength on that. And, you know, as part of construction, there are mods that exist. I'm not certain if they're all platform mods that have a building component to them. So, you know, there are multiple phases of the building. The first phase might just be the, you know, the foundation. The second phase might very well be, you know, all of the wood structure of the house, all the framing. And then the third structure might be the completed building. You just have to look for those. But I know there are some modders that are really good at doing stuff like that. Just for, you know, once again, role-playing activities. Like that. And then let's come in. Maybe we'll do, like, decoration. Let's put some orange construction fencing. Just to show that this is a, you know, like, this is still being worked on. And you could certainly bring in equipment here. And like I said, terraform or terrafarm, if you had that working right on your system, you know, you could bring that in right there. Maybe we want to have, you know, a lot like that. Come on. Come on, my friend. There we go. Nice. Now, let's, we need to finish off a couple of things with this. So, we've got to fix some of this up here. So, landscaping, painting, coming back into my grass. Yeah, we want to make sure that we get this house completed, because this is kind of the showcase house for this particular builder, developer. So we're going to make sure we're nice and clean here, all the way around. Let's come into our plants, find what I was using. There we go. Excellent. Now let's see if we can come and do some little bit of painting. Let's put a, let's put a walkway in, and you could do something similar. So again, you know, like this is if we did this walkway, it would have slope to it. So we could come in here, into our landscaping tool, into our sculpting tool, into our leveling tool. We can come right off the front of the house, and we can do this over to the driveway. So now this is perfectly level, and we can actually even maybe level off the driveway right here. Okay. Now you're like, oh my gosh, what do we do here? Well, now we'll soften it. Or you could come back in here to your sloping tool, and you want to take it to there. You want to start here, and you're going to run it up like this. So now your driveway has the proper slope to it, and your walkway out to your driveway is level. You could do that as well. And then come back into your softening tool and soften this up a little bit. Right there, we made a bit of a mistake. No big deal. We'll just raise that ever so slightly. And then we'll soften. We'll soften right out here. Let's come into painting. Let's grab our concrete. And we'll make a nice walkway out to our driveway. Let's go into our decorations. Let's grab the ubiquitous fence. I use this on everything. I think everyone does. It's a really good fencing section. Let's do that. Up to there. And then maybe around the house. It works for so many things you can do on houses in this game. You can run it right up against here. Right over to there. And then let's do landscaping, painting, maybe a little bit of forest ground. I gotta check the time. What are we at? We are at... Oh, I'm 3 minutes over. I'm 3 minutes over. We gotta stay with this, folks. We've gotta stay with it. Stay with me. Let me finish this. Let me finish this. Okay, we'll do a little of this. A little bit of forest ground around the edges. Go. Let's come back to our plants. Let's get that grass that we were using. Okay, let's grab some of these flowers. Put some of these flowers in here. Just a little decoration around the house. Just like that. And then out here... a little bit of dirt, and just kind of sprinkle in a little bit of dirt right there. And I like to do that, you know, in certain areas just to give grass so it all doesn't look completely uniform. Although it is a new construction, so it would probably be in good shape. And then let's come in, let's do like some plants, no, trees, something tiny, like right here, there, and then let's put kind of on the outskirts of the garage, this. Maybe a couple more trees. Just a little something. Let's come in here. Like maybe a tree right out here. A tree right by the house. Maybe a different size. Maybe something big. There we go. And like any good investment mogul, I want to check in on the guys, see how they're doing coming into the construction area. I think it turned out pretty cool.
Fill me out with your smile. Now the sunshine brings the light.
And there you have it. A full development. Well, I should say a show home and 6 additional lots that are ready for people to buy and build homes on. And again, I think where you could really have fun with this is in role-playing. You could have maybe a company that specializes in roadwork or foundations or surveying, and they've got, you know, a ton of work to do to build these other homes. And then for the real estate broker investor, you've got the show house that you can walk people through during open houses and show everyone what this area might look like. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I hope you got something out of it and we sparked a few creative juices in your brain. You can do stuff like this. Don't think you can't. It doesn't matter if you're on console, you're on Mac or PC. You can do this. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of creativity. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the game. Have fun, enjoy. Happy farming, and we'll see you next time, right here on the farm with the Stovers.